you're off the hook now.
And it's 100% not
Some
sustainable.
guy.
And you're waiting to be completely honest, they keep selling houses in my neighborhood for 400,000. Let's get moving into the next.
Official right to be there.
But you got to have some money to move into that.
He goes, well, you're not getting that way. You know, what next thing we'll discuss it.
Evening, afternoon, whatever time of day it is.
I know, was it
Already after that.
disability?
Roundabouts, yep.
Understands.
Roundabouts, not what happens on
Too
Sunday.
much time. That's what most of them are. They don't work. They just, you know, and they're angry. Just a disability for some reason or another.
It's like we have all the wastewater jokes.
Trying to give it to
When
them.
somebody tours the wastewater plant, they always think they're going to be the first person.
It's crazy,
to
isn't
this
it?
joke. I'm like, we've heard that literally hundreds of times.
Now, this too shall pass.
It's 1 o'clock, so we'll call the Facilities Committee meeting for Wednesday, March 20th, 2024 to order. There's no public comment period. Let me lead us in a blessing, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we're thankful for this day, thankful for the opportunity we have to serve the citizens of Glynn County. Help us be good stewards of the funds that we have and help us make wise decisions. Lead, guide, and direct us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen. Move to the approval section. Minutes from the February 14th, 2024 Facilities Committee meeting.
Mr. Chairman, I'll make a motion that we accept the minutes as presented.
Motion second. All in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Second, contract award, Academy Creek RAS UV upgrades. Mr. Burris.
There he comes.
Sorry, having truck problems.
You're up.
I'm up.
You're up.
Good. Where are we at?
The Academy
Number
Creek.
2.
Number 2, okay. All right, this was discussed at the February Facilities Committee meeting, Academy Creek RAS and UV upgrades. At the Academy Creek plant, we currently use chlorine for disinfection, gaseous chlorine for disinfection, and have to dechlorinate. We have swapped, as of about a year and a half ago, we swapped our indicator for disinfection for the bacterial indicator from E. coli to enterococci, which caused us to have to significantly increase the chlorine dosage at that facility. Chlorine has gotten more expensive, and also with the inherent safety issues associated with chlorine, we applied for a ARPA, American Rescue Plan Act grant from the state of Georgia, from the federal funds, to install a UV disinfection system. We have purchased the UV disinfection equipment from Trojan UV. That is on site in storage at Academy Creek as of September. We also have to replace the return activated sludge plants to increase pumps to increase the flow rate of RAS through the facility. Due to years of failed screening equipment at the plant, we have a ton of rags that have built up in the basins and in the lines, and they continually clog up the existing dry pit pumps that we have for those RAS pumps. So we're installing chopper pumps hopefully with this project, and that will require a complete electrical system upgrade because the pumps are going from 7.5 horsepower to 30 horsepower. So we had bids received February the 7th, with the low bid being from Reeves Young in the amount of $5.78 million, plus the potential acceptance of an additive alternate for a canopy to be constructed over the UV system for $80,000, and we brought forward a suggested award amount of $5.86 million. At the Facilities Committee meeting in February, we discussed multiple ways to potentially value engineer the project to reduce cost. The main two options for consideration were to eliminate the conversion of the east channel of the chlorine contact chamber into a future post-aeration basin, and secondly, to eliminate the parallel outfall line leaving the chlorine contact chamber. We discussed with the UV equipment manufacturer Trojan about eliminating that, and they deemed that it was infeasible to eliminate the parallel outfall line because it raised the water level in the in the UV system above where they were comfortable. So we requested Reeves Young to price the reduction in scope to eliminate the work on the east side of the contact chamber. This would reduce a portion of the demolition, the concrete work, and bypassing requirements for the project, and also shorten time on site. So this yielded a reduction of $326,000. This brings the reduced cost of the price down to $5.534 million. This is funded from two separate locations. The RAS is funded with internal money of R&R. The UV installation was awarded a grant of up to $2.09 million from ARPA, of which there is 1.17 available after the purchase of the UV equipment. There are also extra work items in the bid documents in the amount of $208,380 that would be billed to whichever project code the additional work is provided. So the currently unbudgeted amount that would require additional funding is $2.864 million. That would be coming out of uncommitted R&R funds. We have a letter here from Engineer of Record, Goodwin Mills Kaywood, who is in attendance and can answer questions. Concerning the reduction, the letter of recommendation, and the bid tabulation with a recommended award in the amount of 5.454. Staff has requested also including the additive alternate for the canopy over the UV system to bring the recommended award total to $5,534,000. And I'll be happy to go into whatever detail you would like on the actual project scope. And then here are the bids that were, original bids that were received.
Can I have a motion?
Mr. Chairman, I move that the Facilities Committee recommend awarding the contract to Reeves Young for the construction of the Academy Creek RAS and UV upgrades in the amount of $5,534,000.
I'll second the motion.
Motion second. Any questions? Andrew, we bought the UV equipment.
Yes, sir.
Contractor's installing it.
That's correct.
How's the warranty, when does the warranty start on that?
The warranty began on the equipment on the day it was delivered to us. We have reached out to the equipment manufacturer, and they're willing to extend the warranty for an additional 12 months on that equipment. So the warranty.
It's installed, or?
Yep, well, from the September date it was delivered, so it's 24 months from last September. So technically, it will be under warranty from the manufacturer until September of 2025.
We didn't run into that problem at Dunbar, did we?
No, because it got installed immediately. It wasn't brought online immediately because we had the valving issue with the filters, but the equipment was installed immediately. We'll also have the manufacturer's warranty, not the manufacturer, the contractor's warranty for.
The manufacturer's still gonna come start up the equipment,
Yes, yes.
and we paid for that.
We haven't paid for it yet, but yes, we're holding money on a purchase order for that. Yes, sir.
Are we holding any other money from them?
I believe we're still holding 5% of the original value of the UV system, which was for startup and technical support.
I have a question on the pumps that they were replacing, the RAS pumps. Are those usable anywhere else in our system? Or?
Well, there's 12 slots for pumps, 3 of which are no longer in the hole, and of those 9 that are still remaining, only 3 of them are really in any decent shape right now. So we will see what we can find, but it appears unlikely. They have been through the ringer.
More surplus equipment
Yes,
type of
yes.
items. Okay.
And these are VFD pumps, right?
These will be on VFDs, and so we'll be able to speed up and slow down to maintain the RAS rate and the blanket levels and the clarifiers where we need to be. And these will allow us to significantly increase the RAS rate. Right now, because of the size of the existing pumping equipment and the condition, we have a very hard time maintaining the sludge depths in our clarifiers because we can't get enough material through to those sludge pumps.
Right.
RAS pumps are by no means exciting if you're not at the wastewater plant, but they play a highly critical role in the operation of the facility.
How are the pumps sized?
The design return rate's 100%.
100%? Not 150? Okay. And that's with all the pumps, or just with one pump out?
Basically, the way the system's set up is a single pump for each clarifier plus a swing pump.
Okay,
So you have a standby.
okay.
And you could, if you needed to momentarily increase your RAS rate for some emergency situation, clearly you could use the swing pump to accomplish that.
Do they, and they'll pump the same amount just about? The second pump?
Yes, all the pumps are essentially equal capacity.
So, but when 2 pumps are pumping, it's not pumping twice what one pump?
No, it'd be
Yeah,
just like any other pump scenario. You'd get a reduced capacity on the second pump. The the swing pump.
Yeah.
Now, will they come on at low speed and they automatically ramp up? Or who's going to control the speed of these things?
There'll be a minimum speed setting on the VFD.
Yeah.
That'll be included, and that will be set by our integration folks, and we'll work with them on handling all of that. But there'll be a minimum speed and a maximum speed.
And we have a meter so we'll know what it's pumping?
Yes. Well, we have a meter off of every clarifier, yes. Or, well, not off every, yes, we have a meter off every clarifier. I was thinking it was just on each
A
side.
meter off every clarifier.
Yeah.
Yeah. There are flow meters
Yeah,
on the suction side of each pump.
yeah.
And there are flow meters at each aeration basin.
Mhm.
So you can not only tune what you pull from a clarifier.
Yeah, but each aeration basin is fed from both.
From all
they're
6
fed from all
clarifiers.
of them, so. I just want to make sure they'll pump enough to get the rags out of the system.
Oh, they will.
We won't suck those rags on out the clarifiers.
Well, when we're gonna have to redo some piping in there, so we're likely gonna end up jetting those lines as a portion of that anyway, and then anything that's remaining, we'll wash down as we go
So
through.
we can do that during construction?
Yes, because we're gonna have to take clarifiers offline to redo the piping work on the RAS station, and when we can do that, we can jet those lines. It's gonna be a messy job.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's a lot of history in there.
And what's the delivery on those pumps? We have not pre-purchased.
We have not
that,
pre-purchased. Last update I got from those pumps was 8 weeks delivery.
but we're buying those?
We're buying them as part of this contract.
Okay. Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item is Academy Creek RASUV Construction Phase Services. Mr. Burris?
Yes, sir. Based off the project that we just moved forward to the full commission, we have worked with Goodwin Mills Kaywood on providing a proposal for a not-to-exceed amount budget on construction administration and inspection services. The original value last month was based off the original award, but as I mentioned, the new approach will reduce the amount of time that the contractor will be on site, and therefore reduces the amount of time that the engineer needs to budget to have people on site. So the recommended award here is to award a contract for construction administration and inspection services in the amount of $269,000. Goodwin Mills Kaywood has provided design services and bidding services on this project thus far, and they provided inspection services on the original plant upgrade that was completed last year, or end of '22. It's been a whole year. Time flies, man.
Can I have a motion?
Chairman, I move that the facilities committee recommend awarding the contract to Goldwyn Mills Kaywood for construction administration and inspection services for the Academy Creek RAS and UV upgrade in the amount of $269,000.
Second?
I'll second that motion. Yes.
Any questions?
I have a question. When, on the on-site inspections, do we automatically get the A team, or we don't want the B team, on the inspections?
No, it's in our interest as well as yours that we
Okay.
provide a competent person.
Okay, good. Thank you.
So I assume Jeff will be here sometimes for this work?
Yes.
Yes, and then, worst comes to worst, we'll drag Mitch out down there and make him.
Okay, all right, that's,
Thanks for the uplifting comment.
And I just want to reiterate that this is a budget.
Right.
And we'll bill hourly against this budget. And,
Right.
So hopefully come in below.
Yeah, on the plant project work that they did come in below budget on the estimate on construction services for that. And it's budgeted for, I believe, 16 hours a week, or of 18 hours a week of time. But that does not mean they're necessarily going to be there 2 days every single week. If there's not sufficient work going on, they're not just going to show up for the sake of showing up.
What's the construction time?
300 days is what's in the contract.
And how long is the delivery for the pumps?
Like I said, last update I got on the pumps was 8 weeks.
8 weeks.
Mhm.
But Reeves Young's paying for the pumps.
That's correct. So if this is awarded, we'll go through the contract administration, and then we'll work with Reeves Young to make sure that the first submittal they provide to us is the chopper pump submittal, so we can get those ordered.
And we want to make sure we get the sales tax back.
Yes, yes.
Any other questions?
none for me.
None, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Next,
That, I will, before we move on, Mr. Vaughn asked, would y'all like GMC to be here for tomorrow's meeting as well?
I think it's necessary.
So, okay, well, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Item 4, contract award Highway 17 North Pump Station.
All right, let me get over here on,
There we go. Go further up.
I swear this road gets longer every time I drive it.
It's the construction.
Todd, where am I? Oh, there I am, okay.
There we go. Now
Todd,
you're-
where am I at? All right.
That's Joanne Drive.
This is Joanne Drive. This is a very recently updated photo, claims in 2024 this was updated. So you can see how they have,
Trees are gone.
they've expanded the right-of-way there, or they cleared the right-of-way for the widening of Highway 17. Back in 2022, this pump station right here has an existing force main that runs inside the right-of-way of the widening project. GDOT was going to withhold the letting of the project until that could be moved, so Glynn County and Joint Water and Sewer worked together to relocate that force main down this drainage easement and out to a sewer line located here on Sidney Lanier. The board decided to accept this infrastructure for water and sewer for public dedication in exchange for a 50 by 50 parcel and access easement to build a new pump station to serve this development that will have capacity to serve this adjacent development, and long-term will have the ability to be expanded to serve across 17. We put this out for bid. We're having limited interest, and with cost escalating as they were, we removed any piping to go underneath Highway 17 at that time. We did get one bid back end of February. Popco, who is currently working on 4 other pump stations for us right now. 4 other pump stations for us right now. Popco was the low bid to build a brand-new pump station on site in the total value of $1,172,044.78. We did have multiple bid items in here for different materials of construction. The base was a precast coated wet well. We looked at what the cost difference would be for an HDPE or a fiberglass wet well that would not require coating. The most cost-effective one moving forward is to install the precast wet well. So that is what staff is recommending. Design was completed in-house, and therefore inspection services will be provided in-house on this project. The budgeted amount for this in 2021 was $400,000, and that number was based off the fact that we built a larger pump station at the safety complex on Golden Isles Parkway that year for $499,000. But that is not the world we are living in anymore. So if awarded, the additional funding requirement is $806,971.93 that would be paid for out of uncommitted capital improvement funds. So the recommendation from staff is to award to Popco at that $1,172,044.78.
Do I have a motion?
I'll move the Facilities Committee recommend awarding a contract to Popco Inc. for the construction of the Highway 17 North Pump Station in the amount of $1,172,044.78.
Motion is second. Any questions?
I will note that if you notice right here, this existing pump station that we're replacing is also in the GDOT right away.
Yeah, where is it moving to?
It's gonna be right here,
Over there, right.
right
okay.
by that tree.
Yeah, when I drive by, I look at it and think,
Where's, the new lane's gonna be over toward the pump station, right?
Right, I think that's gonna be the
I
south.
assume, Todd, new
south
lane's just kind of right in the middle of this clearing, right?
Yeah, they'll have essentially.
And DOT's approved where the location is. of
Yes.
the Pump station.
I think one of the important things to note here is all these people in this development have been paying for sewer charges to us for a long time, is that correct?
Yes.
Yeah, so, and they've had a kind of a, I don't know, how would you describe the pump station, ramshackle?
It has been
Something along
substandard.
Substandard, there we go, that's a little bit more, but, and so, I mean, and it was essentially, running, who knew how long?
Yes, and we have spoken with the new owner. I say new, it's been a couple of years now. This is at change hands. The adjacent parcel does want to develop and bring it more homes that currently he doesn't have capacity for.
Mhm.
So the expectation is, once this station is online, they will be tying into this system as well.
So we'll get more customers out of
Yes.
it.
And then, like I said, long-term, the station is designed deep enough so we can bring gravity underneath Highway 17 and serve the east side of 17.
Right, because I know that was in the original plans.
Mhm.
But that's,
Are we gonna have that stub out from the wet well, even though we're not doing that portion yet?
We're gonna core the wet well and stub it out for that.
Now, have we already purchased the pumps for this?
We have the pumps sitting at System Pumping and Maintenance offices.
So they're just installing the pumps?
They're just installing the pumps.
But
We have the
this
pumps, rails, brackets,
This
bases.
includes all the electrical? there's
All the
nothing-
electrical, the brand-new wet well, site improvements, the whole nine.
What do we pay for the pumps?
27,000.
You gonna provide a stub out to cross 17 now?
We're gonna have the wet well cored and stubbed out just outside the wet well, but we're not gonna stub out across 17. But anytime we don't have to go back and re-core the wet well, that's a win for us.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Thank you. Item 5, contract award pump station 4105, 4107 force main improvements. Mr. Burris?
Yes, sir. Pump station 4107 is located on Kate Road in the North Mainland District. Let me get over there. I don't have GIS pulled up, but I think I can find it on here.
Get him warm?
That ain't it. I thought that was it. Where am I at, Todd? Somewhere right in here. Anyway, somewhere right in this general area. I can't find it on the aerial photo. There it is, Winstead, okay. Then 4105 is in Winstead subdivision, right here. So that's the bigger pump station. So 4107 on Kate Road comes down, pumps to 4105. Currently, the way this station is designed, the force main runs out on Kate Road and turns down around Haltala, goes underneath the interstate, and snakes its way down all the way to a manhole here on Glendale, adjacent to Rich CPAC. Very long force main. Looking at needing to provide additional capacity for upstream commercial and residential development. We entered into what is known as a comprehensive agreement with Bergen Woods, which is being built here, which is a multifamily, I think it's a townhouse development. Originally was a townhouse development. I think that's been changed now to single family. And then Saddlebrook, the additional phases of the Saddlebrook single-family residential development back here. So once we had multiple people involved, we requested that they just pay their capital fees up front instead of it tying a building permit, and we would do the project. Since that time, the Vintage Brunswick development has also kicked off, which is a multifamily development that will also use these improvements, and they have paid their capital fees as well. So what this will do will be increase the size of the force main. 4107 is an existing 6-inch force main, and the 4105 is an existing 8-inch force main. Both of these will be replaced with 12-inch force mains. And the relocation of the point on 4105, instead of coming under the interstate, we're going to dump it in down here by Eagles Point's apartments on Crispin Boulevard, which will drastically reduce the distance that material has to go pumping. So you get a reduction in head from the size of the pipe increasing, and a much shorter force main, which will drastically increase the flow rate through those stations. We got 2 bids submitted to us in February 27th, 2 bids, one from TB Landmark Construction, one from Valancourt Construction. The low bid was TB Landmark in the amount of $2,325,582. Originally, when this project was budgeted, it was budgeted at a lower value than that. However, staff did put together an updated cost estimate prior to this being bid out, and our cost estimate was $3,113,000. So hopefully, we are getting better at estimating some of these linear projects based off the new information we have at hand. The request here is to fund this project and award this contract to TB Landmark. There's a shortfall of $624,799 in the project funding. That would also come from uncommitted capital improvement fees. And so we'll be happy to go over anything in more detail you might have questions on. This is
Have a motion?
I will say part of the reason this project got behind schedule was it took us about a year to get railroad permitting because there is a large jack and bore section underneath the railroad at Kate Road and Hawtalla where those railroads come across right there at Old Jessup.
I'll move that the Facilities Committee recommend awarding a contract to TB Landmark Construction, Inc. for the construction of the pump station 4105 and 4107 force main improvements in the amount of $2,325,852.
Second.
I will say TB Landmark does not have any active construction contracts with us, but they have an extensive history with us and have done very successful work in the
They
past.
did the North Mainland project.
They did the North Mainland project. They also did the 2032 force main project about 7 years ago. And they did the 2030 force main project underneath Dunbar Creek. So they've done a lot of work.
One thing, just this is correction, the two bids were submitted,
Yes,
you say with the apparent low bid.
yes,
Obviously, we already checked the bid, so that's what the bid is, it's not apparent.
yes, sir.
Right.
Okay, fair enough.
This is a unit price contract.
Yes, sir.
Who came up with the units?
We modeled this bid form off of the North Mainland project bid form, did we not? So it's similar to the way we bid out the North Mainland project that we did down Harry Driggers and Canal.
Is there any of the items that we don't think we're gonna have to spend money on?
And we've got these extra work items E1 through E11. So there's $71,000 in extra work items included with this. But of course, the items, the A's and B items that were in there are expected to all be used.
Okay. For the other commissioners, information, the extra work will not be spent unless necessary.
Unless necessary. It has to be
So that's
approved by
sorta
the
like-
project
That's
manager.
sort of like a contingency.
Right.
But you always want to compare those and see how they bid those, see if they're reasonable. And obviously, see, Valencourt was much higher on those extra work items.
Mhm.
Still, even with their numbers,
They would still be,
didn't have, they were still,
that, yes, TB Landmark would still be low bid even without the extra work items. Because there's a $170,000, $165,000 gap in bid price, but only a $80,000 gap in the extra work items. The overwhelming majority of our contracts do include extra work items for as-needed work throughout the project. And that has, we've been doing that for about 3 years now, and that has proven to be a very successful avenue for us as things come up throughout the project, for us not to have to bring very small changes in the project to the commission and stop work for a month. For example, we just did that on the North Mainland Water Loops project. We took some extra work items to install another section of water line that needed to be moved out of a GDOT right-of-way for the Highway 17 project, so we utilized those extra work items to get that done.
any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Carries 3-0. Thank you. Next item is contract award Palm Drive Water Main Improvements.
Yes, sir. SPLOST 5, which is very dated at this point, was approved by the voters, and at that point, Glynn County was awarded funding for water improvements in sea palms that had never got completed. Upon doing some modeling updates to our water model on St. Simons Island, it was determined that the best use of those funds would be to increase the connections from the large main on Frederica Road entering Sea Palms. There are 3 entrances to Sea Palms. This is Colonial Drive. This is Palm Drive, which we'll talk about, which is where this project is, and then you have the one at North Windward. We have already done the crossing at Colonial. Glynn County was doing a paving contract to get that done. They had a stormwater project, I believe, ongoing at the same time. And they worked with us, and we got that line across before the paving project. Up here at North Windward and at Palm, we have bought materials to install that pipe. North Windward, there is a new development coming in right here on this current area to the left of the golf course there that will need a connection on Frederica Road. So we have worked with that developer, and we will be providing the materials, and they will be installing the larger crossing there as part of their project, and we'll tie it into North Windward for those connections. So the only remaining one that hadn't been taken care, that doesn't have a plan to be taken care of until now, is Palm Drive. This will be increasing the size of the pipes moving in here, and what that will do will increase pressure and fire flows into Sea Palms. So we have already bought material. We'll be providing material to the bidders. We received 3 bids on Tuesday, March the 5th, with the apparent low bid from Shamgar out of Richmond Hill in the amount of $120,815. I'm going to scroll down to the bid form, and what you will notice, Shamgar here at $120,815. The other 2 bids are $244,542 and $297,350. Shamgar contacted us 2 days later and indicated that they were concerned they had misunderstood the scope of the work required on this project, which is understandable given the variance in the bids. We had a conference call with them on Friday morning, March the 8th, and during that call, Shamgar indicated that they were unaware that this work had to be completed at night due to traffic conflicts, and that they would need to reconsider whether they complete the work for the bid amount. Our bid documents did clearly state on page 4 of the bid documents that this project will require night work. Shamgar notified us on Tuesday, March the 12th, that they would be unable to complete the project and requested that they would be able to retract their bid. They indicated that working outside of normal business hours would increase their bid amount about approximately 50%, and it would no longer be profitable for them to move forward at $120,000. So with Shamgar respectfully asking to retract their bid, the second low bid was TB Landmark Construction in the total cost of $244,542. This will be 12-inch PVC water main installed inside a 20-inch casing, and the trench will be filled with flowable fill to hopefully eliminate any concerns of trench settlement in Frederica Road. So this will be completed fully at night because we obviously are not going to shut down Frederica Road in the middle of the day. So unfortunate that we had the misunderstanding on the bid by our apparent low bidder, but obviously we don't want to do anything with a contractor that's going to cause them a hardship in that regard. So we have agreed to remove their bid and recommend awarding this contract to TB Landmark Construction in the amount of $244,542. There's a shortfall in the old SPLOST funding of $103,650, which will be pulled from the uncommitted funding in the R&R reserve.
We only had 3 bidders on this project.
That's correct.
My sheet shows the third bidder is the one that's the lower price at $202,500. Is that a typo?
That's our EOPC is engineer's opinion of probable cost. So that was our estimate.
Oh, that's
that was
not
our
the
estimate
bidder.
on the job.
I was gonna say, okay, so you weren't that far off then, really?
We weren't that far off, but we still were low bid after Shamgar pulled out. So we're trying not to be low bid. We hate being low bid.
Are they still bringing personnel in from out of town for these work?
A lot of them are now. Shamgar's out of Richmond Hill. TB Landmark's out of Jacksonville area. I forget the north side of Jacksonville. So they're bringing people out of north side of Jacksonville. That's not.
Okay,
That's
not
that.
like-
We consider TB Landmark to be a local contractor for our
Right.
market.
Not
Popco-
here on Sunday and
Yeah.
spending the week here. And then-
Right. Popco is out of Albany, but they have some crew members, I think, out of Jessup that are doing some work here now. So Popco and TB Landmark, the other 2 contractors that bid on this job, have done a lot of work for us.
Yeah.
This would have been the first job Shamgar had done for us, and he indicated he is still interested in providing us bids on future projects. He just
Yeah.
misunderstood the scope of this one.
He's local also?
Richmond Hill,
Oh, okay.
excuse me.
And I have a motion.
If we can get them out of that Savannah area right now, we'll take them.
Right.
I move that the facilities committee recommend awarding the contract to TB Landmark Construction for the construction of the Palm Drive water main crossing in the amount of $244,542.
I'll second the motion.
I will note, this is open cut and not trenchlessly installed. Where this water main is located, the only way to trenchlessly install this is to bore from the Palm Drive side of Frederica and come across, which would require what is known as a back tap on that water main, which is a high probability of failure installation if we do that. So our distribution crew, award-winning distribution crew, has recommended we not do that.
Any other questions?
So that's another reason this will be done at night, so as traffic will be diverted through the Sea Palms neighborhood.
How many nights will it take?
They will be open back up every morning, so
We did it first one one night.
we did the first one in one night. It should be completed within a week. Because we'll put the casing in the first night, obviously, and then we'll have to string the pipe across. They'll plate it, and then Flo will fill it, and then get the paving done.
So when they put the plate over it, they'll have dirt in there?
As soon as the flow will fill, or the trench is back, fill the plate, traffic resume. First time we did it on the Colonial, we did one lane of traffic diverted each time, each way, half
At night?
at nighttime, yes, sir.
I mean,
It took all night.
there is traffic on St. Simon's Islands at 1 o'clock in the morning, but it's a lot more manageable to do work at that time of night over there.
What
So
time you saying they're gonna start?
they won't start before 9 o'clock, 10 or 11 o'clock before they get started. And this will all be posted, all the traffic will be posted both for sign, most likely with signboards, definitely put out public notices about it, you know. We'll do everything we can to make sure people know that in the middle of the night there will be traffic interruptions. But the road will be open back up before normal business hours the next day.
Any other questions? Hearing none, all in favor? Motion carries 3-0. Next item is equipment purchase, pump station 2001, 2002, 2033, and 2034, Mr. Burris.
Yeah, so this is a new approach to projects that staff has come up with. I'll give all the credit here to staff member David Grantham, who came up with this approach. He suggested, and we have twice a month, we have capital project update meetings in here with staff and talk about our ongoing capital projects. And as we have in these meetings once a month, a recurring theme has been how do we get these costs down? And so one of the things that was suggested by Mr. Grantham and discussed at length in those meetings was, what if we essentially were our own general contractor and we bought all the material, had it on site, we did small contracts for different portions of the work and then move forward. So this is this has spun out of that, that discussion. So we have two projects that both have two pump station rehab projects. These are not flow-based needs. These are out of the master plan identified work for condition-based needs. Pump station 2033 and 2034 is on the north end of the island, one of a rice mill and out on Lawrence Road. And then 2001, 2002 are on the south end of the island. 2001 is on Butler or Lord? Butler Avenue, I think? Butler. Yeah, it's in the village area. And 2002 is on Arnold Road. And these are in need of complete electrical replacements, and then some additional minor work will be done to discharge piping, valve pits, some safety grading, things like that. So the first approach we're going to do is to purchase all of the necessary electrical equipment and let contracts for bypass pumping and for Georgia Power to bring three-phase power to pump stations 2033 and 2034. So there's an extensive amount of quotes here in the back that you can review. And I have a hard copy over there. We did not print out the 80 pages of quotes for your materials there. But we have got multiple quotes on the vast majority of these items. Obviously, we did not get multiple quotes on Georgia Power's work because they're the only people that can do the work. So our recommendation is that we enter into bypass pumping agreement with Hydroservice. Hydroservice has provided bypass pumps for us at Academy Creek and Dunmar Creek for ongoing projects there. That is $7,875 per month. The estimate is each one of these projects would require 2 months of bypass pumping. So you're looking at $16,000 worth of bypass pumping per project. We will be relocating their bypass equipment between sites, so there will only be one site bypassed at a time, and each site will have 2 bypass pumps because we need a backup. We will completely disconnect all the electrical, rip it out, and then put new stuff in. We will be coming back to you if this is approved at a later date with contract awards for the electrical installation. We also are looking at buying high voltage and low voltage panel from Power and Pumps, VFDs from Goforth Williamson, and electrical panel air gap. Because the the pump leads are in the wet well, we do have a hard conduit that comes up to the panels, and what we have found, and this is a change we made about 6 years ago, we started installing air gaps between the conduit and the panels so that the sewer gases do not get in our electrical panels and cause significant corrosion issues. And so we're buying air gaps to install beneath our panels, and then all of the miscellaneous electrical parts that go in the panels from World Electric. The total for single purchase for pump stations 2033 and 2034 is $110,512.90 with the $78.75 per month bypass rental. And for 2001, 2002 is $76,459.10 with the same bypass rental. The difference is the three-phase power that needs to be ran for 33 and 34. There will be additional suggested additional purchases for electrical installation contractor, potential mechanical component purchases and a mechanical installation, and then also the coating of a couple of these wet wells at a later date. But the recommendation is we move forward with these purchases, and if this comes out as expected, we believe we will be well under the allowable $1.4 and $1.35 million budgets for these two projects. But we are, of course, taking a risk on by doing the GC ourselves, but our staff feels confident that we can get this done. I did talk to Charlie and confirmed we could do all this in one motion instead of having to have a different motion for every one of these different providers.
Thank goodness.
Can I have a motion?
I'll move that the Facilities Committee recommend approving the purchases from Hydro Service, Inc., Georgia Power, Power and Pumps, Goforth Williamson, and World Electric as shown for the rehab of pump stations 2001, 2002, 2033, and 2034.
I'll second.
Motion second. Any questions?
So the notion here is to go secure this equipment while the pricing is right here.
Well, we know the pricing.
Well, right, and because if we wait another year, who knows?
Right, and one of the things we're told by electrical contractors in particular, and me and the chairman were talking about this earlier, electrical contractors, if the job's 6 or 9 months out, they're having to carry some amount of additional funds in some situations to protect themselves against price fluctuations, things like
Right.
that. So we'll have all the material, and they'll just have to come in, and once we have it all, we'll have it all on site, ready for them to go. They just come in and install it for us.
Right.
And we'll inspect the work and everything like that. So we think this is going to be a successful avenue for us. And if it is a successful approach, I think a lot of these pump station rehab jobs will be done this way moving forward, which could be substantial savings for us down the road.
Since you're rehabbing this, where's the rest of the money between the 1.4 million and the 8,000 for the project?
Original estimates included, there's, like I said, wet well coatings, which can be 50 grand a pop to coat wet wells, are in there. We've got some valves and discharge piping work that needs to be done. We have the electrical contracts to install this we'll come back to you with, and then this was just based off of recent bids that we have gotten back. These are more recently budgeted projects. The project number, the 2 digits that start the project number, are the year that it was budgeted. So we had already seen the rapidly increasing prices, so these budgets were taking that into consideration.
But this approval is only for
That amount.
that
And
amount, not the 1.4 million.
that's correct. This is for this amount, and we'll bring additional contracts back to you once we get this material on site. So there'll be ongoing contracts coming to you for consideration.
Is there a limit as to how long these prices will be held?
Typically, quotes are good for 30 days, but I don't want to speak for all these quotes
No,
entirely.
I mean, so we have to complete everything else within 30 days? I mean, no.
No.
How long are these prices gonna be held by the vendors?
Okay, so the only ones that wouldn't be single purchase is the bypass pumping rental with Hydro Service, and they will hold it as long as they can get the bypass rental coming this way, essentially. But all these others are single purchase, so the day we issue a purchase order, it is what it
They'll
is.
be ordered.
They'll be ordered, it is what it is.
They'll be sending them into us when we store them.
That's correct.
So once this gets awarded, you give Georgia Power their money, they can bring the three-phase power before we even start work, right?
That's correct.
We're not waiting for them.
That's correct. They'll set a pole and bring the three-phase power to the pole, and then we will be responsible for tying everything to the new meter and everything. Georgia Power will say one of these stations will require a new transformer, which has a 52-week lead time, but we have developed a workaround in the short term until that new transformer can be delivered. So that will not hold up the project. It just won't have its official new transformer for a year.
So this puts us in a position of being more of the general contractor
Yes.
for this. Okay, and are we designating someone specifically that's going to be the lead on?
Yeah, this will all be managed by our Systems Pumping and Maintenance Superintendent, Kirk Young.
Okay,
And the electrical work will also be overseen by David Grantham, who does our electrical work in-house.
Both of those are excited about this.
Very much so.
I would think so, yeah.
I mean, if you look at it, typically the way electrical contractor's got to buy the parts, he's gonna mark that up. And then he's subbing that to a general contractor, and the general contractor's gonna mark up the electrical subcontractor's work. So hopefully by doing this, we eliminate 2 markups.
Are you gonna try to get one electrical contractor at each job, or are you gonna try to bid that out together?
We'll bid it out together. Well, we'll get quotes on all of them. The assumption would be that the guy who's low on one is gonna be low on all of them, but it depends on the site. We might have multiple electrical contractors if, for whatever reason, one of them really wants to do one job but not the other.
It might be better if one does one and he does a great job, then you say, we'll give you the second one.
We could look at that as well, yes, sir.
Any questions? Comments?
Nothing.
All in favor? Motion carries. Three nothing. Thank you. Next item is lease agreement, Canal Road Water Production Facility, Mr. Rose.
Yes, sir. Our Canal Road Water Production Facility is located on airport property, or is located adjacent to Glynn County Airport property. And where the new ground storage tank is going is on current Glynn County Airport property. The Glynn County Airport property is being exchanged to Glynn County property as part of their Canal Road widening project. And, but however, all that has to go through FAA approval, which is a long-term process. So what we are doing in the interim is going to be leasing that property from the airport. And let me get down here to the terms. For $577.50 a month until such time as the property can be purchased from them and swapped over with Glynn County. It's a 25-year lease. I do not expect it to take 25 years for us to get that property swapped, but we're waiting on the FAA approval process.
You're not quite that slow.
We're not quite that slow, so. We did apply for the lease back last May. And so this is just the administrative portion of getting that done.
How much was the property, total property release?
About half, right?
What's that?
How much of the total property will be leased is about half, right?
About, it's a little more than half, yeah, 100 by 110 is the
Do we have
new
facilities
parcel.
actually on that property, or is that just buffer?
The ground storage tank will be on that property.
Truth be told, the airport authority owns the site that our.
Current station is on, yeah. So this little thing here is the actual site, so we're getting 100 by 110 adjacent here. That is now cleared, if you have been out there.
Oh, no,
We didn't clear it, but
who cleared it?
the widening project contractor, Airport Authority, got that cleared.
Oh, okay, okay. That's good.
That's what you do before you sell property.
Yeah.
Somebody.
Get all the timber off of it and then sell it.
I'd see that, yeah.
We have a motion?
I move that the facilities committee recommend the full commission authorize the chairman to execute the necessary documents to approve funding for the lease of property from the Glynn County Airport Commission for the Canal Road Water Production Facility.
I'll second the motion on that.
Motion second, any other questions?
It makes you feel any better, we got a longer motion at finance today, so that's not the longest motion you'll have to read today.
Okay, that was pretty good, so.
There's no further questions, all in favor? Nothing.
All right, Todd, you're up.
Open GIS would be up.
Location of easements and infrastructure.
Give me just 1 second here.
One thing I will note, as Mr. Klein is getting started on this item, Superior Storage and Dedication is not being considered today. There was a delay with some of the paperwork we needed to get signed before today, so that will be removed from your agenda today, and it will be considered at next month's meeting.
Oh, okay.
Dennis, I'm gonna pin that to your taskbar here, so you got it.
So their legal team is still reviewing the documents, and so we want to make sure they were good with it before we approved it even.
All right. Just real quickly, Commissioners, good afternoon. This is a pretty routine easement infrastructure dedication item. 4 items on this. First one is Autumn's Wood Phase 3B. Second one is Plantation at Golden Isles, which is an easement. This will be probably the first easement abandonment that staff's presented for consideration. Number 3 is Superior Storage, which is acquisition of some already existing.
We're not doing that one.
Yeah, I'm gonna talk about it, yeah. We're not gonna do that one. It's on the list here. It was acquisition of some already existing water main infrastructure there, but I'll talk about that in a second. And as Mr. Burrows said, we didn't obtain the dedication document in time for this meeting, so it'll be on the next month's agenda. And then number 4 is Merritt Place Phase 3, dedication of privately constructed infrastructure, which was on the February agenda as well. And so, I'm trying to think of what's easier to do here. Go to the first one here. We did add, from feedback from the commissioners last month, a little bit more description on what infrastructure is being proposed for dedication. So as the first one here, Autumnswood Phase 3B, up off State Route 99. And if anyone needs me to navigate in GIS to the location, I'm happy to do that, show you as well. Water, 2,000, a little more than 2,000 linear feet of 8-inch water main. Gravity sewer, close to 3,000 linear feet of 8-inch gravity sewer and manhole and appurtenances there. And this Phase 3 will bring us 49 new single-family residence customers. Next one is Plantation at Golden Isles. As I mentioned before, this is a quick claim for an easement that's an existing easement. Back in the early 2000s, Glynn County had not quite settled on the road alignment for Golden Isles Parkway Extension north of 99. They had acquired some easements for future water installation. The water mains were actually installed in a different location as that plantation development built out. And so those easements are no longer needed by the Joint Water and Sewer Commission. There are 5 lots here that this quick claim applies to. And this was initiated by an applicant through Glynn County for a pool permit. Once they found out, or we found out, that we had a water and sewer easement in their backyard, it prohibited them from installing a pool there. So we took it upon ourselves to pursue abandonment, so to speak, of this easement here. It's no longer needed, and that is what this is. We're doing all 5 at one time here. Go ahead and clear it up. Third item, Superior Storage, I mentioned before. This will come back to the commissioners, but since it's on the agenda, I'll talk about it. We're always on the lookout for existing infrastructure. It makes sense for us to approach the owner of that infrastructure to acquire it. In this case, this is New Jessup Highway, or 341, in between there and Old Jessup Road. The way we came about looking at this is we had a customer come to, or a potential customer, hopefully future customer, come to us up off Old Jessup Road asking for water. Their well was failing. We looked at this and said, well, there's a private water line that extends here. It's an 8-inch water main. Let's approach the owner of that. In this case, it's Superior Storage, commercial business there. And in negotiations with them, they said, yeah, we'll dedicate it to you. We went, did the survey, created the document. It's all teed up here. Unfortunately, Superior Storage folks didn't get us the legal documents back in time for this commission meeting. But anyway, give you a little preview of that. Hopefully we'll see that for next month. But that'll give us a connection to Old Jessup in this area that we currently don't have, if that goes through. Hopefully it does. Merritt Place Phase 3, as I mentioned, this was discussed last month at the Facilities Committee meeting there. There's some questions on the dedication of the private pump station and other private infrastructure in there. So this is a little over 1,000 linear feet of 8-inch PVC water main and a little over 2,000 linear feet of 4-inch PVC force main down Yarnell Drive to Old Jessup, which will open up a large area of potential customers. Most immediately is a mobile home park just south of this development, Merritt Place, who has inquired about connection to sewer, wastewater. This development will bring us 17 new single-family residential customer accounts. And that is the fourth item there. And again, I'm happy to zoom into GIS.
On Merritt Place, we approached them about potentially upgrading the pump station per the commission's request. Gave them a detailed list of what would be required. There are standards which allow for the construction of private pump stations in the joint water and sewer construction standards. They meet all of those standards. We asked them about updating it to the public dedication standards, and they have submitted a letter from their agent that said they remain steadfast in their commitment to keep it private.
Do I have a motion?
I move that the Facilities Committee recommend the full commission approve and accept these projects with associated documentation.
I'll second the motion on that.
Could we amend the motion to remove item 3?
And to remove item 3.
Yes.
And I'll second that amended motion.
Any questions?
To defer it until the next.
Do we-
And to defer it until.
Till documents are ready.
Yeah.
I guess my question for you, Charlie, is with regards to Merritt Place, right? He wants it to remain private. We're only taking over a portion of the line that serves that neighborhood. Is there any liability for joint water in the future if we interconnect anything? And could it possibly affect the homeowners association?
So if we manifold a force main into the publicly dedicated portion of the force main, and is there liability if for whatever reason they determine that they think it is, any impacts to the pump station are caused by that connection?
Pretty much, yes. You follow me?
You mean general liability, and there's warranty limits.
Right.
As far as general liability goes, no, I don't think so. We have a certain liability. It really depends on what that allegation was, but.
Well, it could possibly, in the future, that if we continue with that size force main, if we add additional capacity on that force main, right, it may change the characteristics of the flow from the private side. Right? What are our liabilities if they turn around and start complaining that, hey, joint water, you're affecting our system now?
I mean, it depends on what the facts are.
Okay, I'm kind of surprised at that, because if I was a homeowners association, I'd be kind of saying, well, we're not pumping out like we should because of you guys. All right, therefore, you should fix this, or you should assume control of our system.
They'll have more power costs and everything else.
Yes.
I see what you're saying, but I don't think that that's,
You don't think it's an issue?
if we upgrade the force main, that's something we'll take into consideration.
I will also say this, these pumps are scheduled to pump 15 gallons a minute into that 4-inch force main. So, 4-inch force main to carry a couple hundred gallons a minute pretty well. So we got a lot of room to tie people onto that force main.
Minimum flow in a 4-inch force main is supposed to be 80 gallons a minute.
That's why we're highly interested in this mobile home park tying onto that force main.
You have no further comments or questions, all in favor?
Well, we're gonna, when we bring it to the full commission, we're gonna designate a whole lot better on this drawing
Mhm.
where the actual demarcation.
If, Commissioner Ford, if we look at the, and let me pull this up, the record drawing itself.
Yep.
Take a peek down, let me get down there to it. There's an annotation, albeit very small, says end of public line.
We will, we'll highlight it on there for you tomorrow, though.
Yes, sir. One second.
Oh, so we're not even ending it
No,
back here, we're
where's the-
ending it
Down here, yeah, into public sewer.
Yeah, so here, I know it's very
You
small.
had to zoom in, even I can't see that.
It's end of public
I
service.
got you.
Yeah.
I thought it was actually up there by the turn.
Mm-mm.
So when we put a valve there,
Okay.
Line of demarcation.
does that address the?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
All in favor, raise your right hand. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank you, Commissioners.
We'll move to discussion section, water production report, Mr. Burrows.
Yes, sir. Our water production report for the month of February. Of course, February with 29 days, the total produced is lower, but the average daily was in line with where we have been the last few months. On the mainland here, a couple of things to note. All of the connections on the North Mainland Water Loop projects are now open as of last week, or first of this week. But three of the 4 connections were open by the end of February, so this does reflect some of the new flow patterns. However, the other thing to note is you'll notice Goodyear Park had very limited flow for the month, and Brunswick Villa had a much higher flow than normal. That is because we were having well motor issues at Goodyear Park, so that well was shut off and Brunswick Villa was taking up the load. But the advantageous part of the new loops, it has impacted the way we preferred it to impact. You see that I-95 is running significantly less than what it was. And FLETC has picked up running as we anticipated that happening. And so we are seeing the impacts of that system being better looped and allowing water to move more freely through the system. Total flow for the month on the mainland, 4.942 million gallons. So very happy with the way that North Mainland project has worked out. And the improvements seem to be bearing out as expected, which is always exciting to see, particularly after that Glencoe loop did the exact opposite of what he thought it was going to do. But you can see our graph on the second page there, very consistent water flow year to year. So on St. Simons for the month, we see with the elevated storage tank coming back online at Hampton and some changes to the way we're operating that station. You see Hampton Point taking some of the load off of some of the other stations, but 2.36 million gallons a day on St. Simons Island for the month, which is a little bit higher than it was the previous month, but in line with where we typically see it this time of year. It was a little bit of reduction, as you recall, in the January flow because last year in January was immediately following the major freeze over the holidays, and we had a lot of water going places it wasn't supposed to be going. But all in all, that system seems to be going pretty well. We have, on the north end of St. Simons Island, had some concerns from residents about fluctuating pressures. We have put pressure monitors on hydrants out there, and what we have determined is the improvements that we have made has increased pressure more than it used to, so the fluctuations are not because pressure is getting too low, but because the pressure is getting higher than it used to get. So rapid improvement on air, and we're now turning down some high service pumps so that it doesn't increase the pressure too much out there to limit some of the fluctuations in that flow. So I believe that's the first issue of a high pressure complaint since I've been here.
It's a good thing.
It's a good thing. So
Oglethorpe tank's in operation.
Oglethorpe tank is in operation, yes, sir. The Mall tank is still not in operation,
Roll down to 2 valves.
but the Oglethorpe tank is in operation.
The same contractor did the mall tank that did the Demery tank, right?
Same prime contractor, that is correct.
Can we talk to him and talk about the staining on the Demery tank?
We can attempt that conversation, yes.
Or the communication provider up there?
I think our best approach is going through the communications provider to see what can be done to
Because
eliminate
that tank's getting stained and it just was painted 2 years ago.
Right, that is correct. At the South Mainland, 270,000 gallons a day. That system is very well balanced, which is always good to see. 3.8 from Clancy Bluff, 3.94 million from Brookman. So flow a little lower than where it was this time last year, but very consistent flows month to month on the South Mainland District. And then on the last page, our new report showing the unaccounted for water percentages that we are pulling out of the new AMI system now that the meter project is essentially complete. We still have about 100 meters we're trying to change out with internal forces. But you see for the month of February, the unaccounted for water across our entire network. We are trying to get this data by system, but having some issues with that. But this is the total amount, 14.88% unaccounted for water. I will point out a couple of things. One, on the far right, you will see percent AMI. That is the amount that were read by the AMI system, and that is what is easily downloadable out of the AMI system. Anything that is input from the old AMR system that is still being read that way is not included in this report. Like I said, we got about 100 of those. This also does not include any flushing information from when the fire department flushes.
Right.
So this will be on the high side of what our unaccounted for water actually is each month. It won't be substantially lower than what was reported here, but there will be this will be slightly higher because we don't have those two pieces of information in there. But you can see we do have 29,650-ish meters reading monthly on the new AMI system. So 14.88% for the month of February, a little higher than that for January. That may have been due to some issues with water main breaks unexpectedly. Because of course, if a main breaks because there's a bore through or something like that, that is unaccounted for water that's going somewhere in that process.
The fire department flushing, how much water does that use? I mean, do they have a specific time they do it for?
They have a specific time they're supposed to be doing it for.
Oh, okay.
Whether or not that occurs each time, I cannot speak to. But when you open up a hydrant, you're running somewhere around 1,000 gallons a minute out. And if you're flushing, 20 or 30 or even 50 hydrants, in a couple-week period, it can add up to a pretty significant amount of water.
But not unaccounted, because we know what we're doing.
Right.
Yeah,
It's just unaccounted for in that it's not being pulled out of the billing system.
right, exactly.
How often do we calibrate the meters at the wells?
Annually. Yes, and there's also obviously inaccuracies in the meterings at the well sites as well on the production meters.
Right.
So you've got a little bit on that side, a little bit of inaccuracy on the metering side. So you're never going to get to zero, obviously, and then you got leaks in between. So
And how is this, the 14.88, how does that compare to like a national average?
what would you say, Chairman? That national average is around 12%, something like that?
I'm not sure what the national average is. What's our goal?
Our goal would be 10%, but
Yeah, I mean, that's,
our goal would be 10%. You're going to have some just, whether it's illicit water usage, metering inaccuracies, things like that, that's going to show up. But
right, because the accounting side will tell you each percent equals so many dollars. So, that's, I know that's what Dave will tell you. But, yeah, I mean, it's a notable goal to get that down, of course.
I did provide you the full year's worth of 2023 data to show as we brought more meters online with the AMI system. Obviously, we did not have 38% unaccounted for water in January of 2023.
I hope not.
But that's just, we only had 19,000 meters reading on the new AMI system at that time.
Okay.
Interestingly enough, just to note that 14.88% that we're seeing for February, that's awfully close to what I got on this year's water audit.
Yep.
Oh, okay, all right. So,
Dave is our, what's the terminology, certified water loss? WALA, yeah.
all right.
There's an acronym. He does our water audit every year.
Is the word guru in there also?
No, you only become a guru, I believe, at GAWP after, I think, 30 or 40 years. We do have one GAWP guru in this meeting,
Okay.
is what I'll say.
And I appreciate this extra report every month because it's useful.
Yeah.
Like I said, we are attempting to get it by system. which we have bills by routes, but the system seems to get entirely overwhelmed when we try to pull it by, because you can't pull it by month by systems, you have to pull it by day, and it
Wow.
seems to just give up after a while.
Wow.
I turned it on one evening at 5 o'clock, left my computer here, left it running the next morning, and I came back and it stopped. So,
Switch over to the Cray computer, that's all.
yes, gonna need the big one to get that done.
Okay, wastewater plant flows.
All right, wastewater flows. Let me get there. Academy Creek, 6.5 million gallons a day at Academy Creek, leaving that facility, about 50% of the flow. One thing you will note, the orange on the effluent concentrations is our violations for the month. We had weekly and monthly violations at Academy Creek for ammonia, and we were notified by Georgia EPD last week that we would be getting a consent order from them for these ammonia violations. We were dosed with something. I say dosed. There was some sort of illicit discharge that caused major disruptions at the facility at the end of September, and we have been battling and unsuccessfully to get that plant back under compliance. We are very near having complete clean out of Aeration Basin 2 so we can get that back online, and when that is back online, what we intend to do is reseed the plant with sludge from Southport and or Dunbar, because we cannot grow nitrifiers right now, and it is a tremendous struggle. We will get there. As you can see, we were doing very well. We were meeting the new permit for the first 3 months, and then all of a sudden it went haywire. We're going to do an extensive sampling program of our industrial dischargers, and so all of that will be coming forward in the coming months. And as brief indicators here, you will see alkalinity on influent and effluent. The removal of ammonia consumes alkalinity, and if the alkalinity coming in is 223 and going out is 195, we're not consuming any alkalinity. So those nitrifiers are just not doing their job. We've made some changes, hoping to see some improvement there, but we're hoping the reseeding seems to be the goal moving forward. But on the BOD and TSS side, did remove 97% of the BOD and almost 99% of the TSS. Sarah, our dryer, has been offline to some electronics issues. Hopefully we'll have her back up and running in the very near future. But plant staff is working hard trying to get this under control, all pulling in the same direction. So we'll get there as quickly as we can.
When are we going to start hauling sludge from the other plant, from Dunbar?
Well, like I said, Sarah has not been running, so there's been no benefit to bringing it over there. So let's get her back up and running, hopefully in the next week or two, and then we'll try to initiate that process, particularly from Dunbar. Plant flows went up a little bit this month compared to where they were in January, but went down, in line where they were last year at this time. Flows for March are elevated more than they have been because it has been a much wetter month for the month of March. Just giving you a heads up on that. Dunbar Creek, about 3 million gallons a day leaving Dunbar Creek. You will notice there were no violations for BOD or Interococci for the month because all the new equipment is online and working beautifully. So got through the rough patch there with the equipment issues we were having. BOD, TSS, and Interococci all down where we would expect them to be with the new filters and UV equipment online. 98% BOD and TSS removal at that facility for the month, so that is working very well. Anytime you are operating a wastewater facility during an active construction project, that comes with a certain amount of challenges, but we luckily overcame those very rapidly. And then at Southport, about 35% having an influent meter situation, so I don't have an influent reading for you for the month, but about 500,000 gallons a day going through that facility, 35% of the capacity. Everything being operated well, 97% BOD and TSS removal for the month. Very limited sludge removal down there as well. 3.13 tons is, that's one load of sludge leaving the facility, dry sludge. That's dry tons. One load of sludge is more than 3 tons. 3 dry tons leaving the facility for the month. And we do have wet tons, but the wet tons are not wet. They're dry. They're just, anyway.
On Academy, what was our old, ammonia?
17.4.
So we're still been permitted there.
On the old one, yes, sir.
Okay, now we got construction photos to look at.
All right, Commissioners, I'll work very quickly through this. Our monthly picture report, projects that are in motion, out and about in the field. ARCO extension, or area water and sewer extensions. It's a good aerial shot of the construction areas. We've got 2 crews on site with UWS out there working diligently. Second picture down there below gives you a good shot of kind of the conditions they're digging through. Trench box in place, whatnot. Sheeting going on for that deep gravity.
My understanding, Todd, they've got 2 crews working now?
Yes, sir. Yeah, that's what. Yeah. I'm sorry, I didn't say it loud enough. There are 2 crews working on site.
Trying to get it done as fast as they can.
UWS. Worth reinforcing that fact. There's Jason, the superintendent, in the truck right there talking with 2 residents who are very interested in connecting, giving them a project update. I'd say it's a pretty friendly and engaged community out there with the construction that's going on. Been very understanding. Been a long project. Mr. Jerry Duncan, one of our planning and construction inspectors on site there, watching some sewer main installation there, and also some debris removal on 6th Street.
How long has that road been in that condition?
6th Street in particular, or?
The one
Started-
that
we started
had
on
the
that in January,
Had the
didn't
2 residents out on
Mhm.
the street.
That was January is when that started? Is that right?
Yes. Yeah. I don't know if that's particular street, I have to go back and look, but
If it rains, it gets pretty muddy on that street.
It can.
it
yes, sir.
does. It takes constant maintenance for the guys to keep the roads in decent enough shape out there.
What do they have to get it in decent shape? Do they have rollers or something that gets the dirt off of it?
Yes, sir. Yeah. Working hard to solicit for new connections, the whole point of the project out there. My understanding is there's probably about half a dozen folks connected, working on getting them into billing if they're connected. So, a very strong need out there, very strong need. A lot of failing septic tanks. Next project to speak of, galvanized replacements. That's in-house water distribution.
Staff member Bob Ward getting the spotlight this time on our distribution crew.
Yeah, good shot of Mr. Bob there with typical items coming out of the ground there. Couple of good shots in that bottom right pictures, the bone bin out there at water distribution. See a lot of the materials coming out of the ground.
Well, those lines are just, they're the service line, they're not the house service lines, is it?
No, that'd be our side.
A lot of interesting configurations of valves and fittings and whatnot.
And we're replacing that 1-inch line with what size line?
Be a 1-inch. We'll put that would be a service from our main to the meter, so we would replace that 1-inch service with a 1-inch poly line. Even on 3/4 by 5/8, 5/8 by 3/4 meters, we put a 1-inch service and bush it down to a 3/4-inch connection. That way, if the customer ever decides they want a 1-inch meter, we don't have to replace the service.
But don't let that get out. Secret. All right, next project, Canal Road Water Production Facility. There's a good shot there of the newly denuded property around our well site there.
I'll give them credit. They got that down in a hurry.
Yes, they did. Very efficient logging crew out there. And the lot to the to the north of us is the one that we just spoke about earlier, one of the agenda items about the lease agreement with the airport authority. They were kind enough to go ahead and remove the trees, so we don't have to do that as part of our project. Reed's Young. Good shot in the middle there. And that's just an on-site coordination meeting with Georgia Power for the power service upgrade to the site there. A couple of our team members. Next project, North Mainland Water Loops, we spoke about earlier before. Mr. Burris pointed out the benefits already being realized with those connections. The project is wrapping up here quickly. just waiting on Glynn County to approve the final paving that happened on Old Jessup. So all the paving's complete, we're just waiting on Glynn County's final sign-off, and then we'll be able to wrap that project up. The project's going very well. Contractor Valancourt Construction. Last couple pictures dressing up the shoulder, doing a good job there. I think they passed all their bacteria testing, I believe.
Yes,
I don't think they popped any of them, so.
I was not told of any that failed.
Yeah, so that's a testament to their cleanliness and whatnot while they're working. Didn't have any rogue possums climbing up in the pipes or anything like that. So. Next project, Pump Station 4002. This is a group of 3 pump stations, 4001, then also 3101 on the south mainland system. Popco in motion on that project. The little bit of delay on getting going with those, with these, turning dirt on these projects at least. Electrical submittals and whatnot, finally working through that. In-house, as commissioners may remember, part of the pricing reductions on this project when we narrowed it down to the very narrow scope of just electrical, pretty much just electrical. In-house forces did install the bypass line there at 4002, and we are providing bypass for this contract, and that saved us significant monies.
And we also, end of last week, relocated temporary power in the facility so that we did not have to be on bypass for an extended period of time.
There we go. All right. Popco's in motion with the demo in there. Next project, 4044, also Popco. That is the pump station formerly known as Payless Pump Station, affectionately known. You'll see some activity out there going on now, and Georgia Power, waiting on them to do a little bit of relocation. Gas mains relocated, clearing the way. Bottom picture there shows the private pump station that will be essentially obsolete once our new wet well is in place and whatnot, and the commercial development there is very happy about that. They will no longer have to maintain that private pump station. It'll be a straight shot to the receiving wet well.
Did they move the gas lines there yet?
Yes, sir. Gas mains have been relocated.
I rode by one day and I thought I saw that that's where they were working.
Yes, sir. Once they got mobilized, they were pretty quick and efficient with getting that done. And just something else to point out here, we're always we're always open to good ideas in our contractor. Our last meeting we had last week with them, bi-weekly meeting, they looked at and proposed to us an adjustment in the connecting gravity sewer between the existing wet well at 4044 and where the new wet well is. Came up with a good idea. We went back and forth between our engineer, LEA, and ourselves and contractor. And we were able to shallow up that gravity just a little bit. We created a better operating condition result. And just pointing out the fact we're always open to good ideas. In this case, I think it was a pretty good RFI they submitted. And we'll make constructability a little bit easier for our contractor. They're happy about that. And also, they're giving us a larger wet well from 8 foot to 10 foot. So it's a win-win for both parties in that case. So it pays at times to listen to the folks that build these things and get some good ideas from them. All right, Dunbar Creek.
Dunbar Creek, the first photo we have here is in the post-aeration portion that you see the canopy there. That is the UV and filter equipment area that flows into there. And what we have here is a picture of the bypass setup because they have installed a larger partial flume. Partial flume allows you to measure the effluent flow across a known cross-section there. So the second photo there shows you the crews working that new partial flume to go to allow the higher flow readings is in place and in service now. But I'll also scroll back up, Todd, just a moment. That concrete pad off to the bottom there, that is the new reuse pumping equipment that will provide internal water reuse for plant water. That core is supposed to be made this week, so hopefully that equipment will be started up this week or first of next week. And then on the second page here, where the big excavation that is going on right now, that is the hole for the new clarifier. There's also a tremendous pile of dirt just to the left of your photo. that you can't see now, that has come out of that hole. That is a full-grown excavator in that hole, in case you're wondering.
It looks small.
It looks small from here,
Talking to it, yeah.
but they will begin pouring the new floor for the clarifier next week.
So they got the piles in.
Piles are all in. Piping is supposed to be finished up this week. The drains and everything is supposed to be finished up this week, and they're gonna start pouring concrete next week. And then we got some various fittings and pipes going on, and a picture of the new flume before it was installed when they delivered it there. Cross-section there kind of shows you what we're talking about, so. Project going on very well, looking at final completion sometime July of this year with the new clarifier and roadway improvements. So essentially, the work that's still remaining is to do the new roadway improvements, get the new clarifier online, and we did find out in our updated waste load allocation for the new permit, we will have a phosphorus limit, so our engineer and contractor are working on solutions for that. Likely will involve chemical addition of alum to remove that phosphorus at the facility. But we may be able to reutilize the old filter bays because it's already contained and put the phosphorus equipment in there in a secondary containment area. So looking at reusing some of that material.
I got to compliment the Far Shelf Flume vendor's name, Open Channel Flow. It's a pretty
Yeah.
appropriate name.
It's clever.
Always good to tell people what you do.
Yeah, in all caps too. All right, next project is 4001. So this is, we already spoke about this. I'll zoom through this guy. It's on the south end of the city, and that's part of the 3 pump station project. And there's our 3rd pump station, 3101. Again, part of that trio of pump station upgrades. That's on the South Mainland.
I have to coordinate construction activities there with school drop-off and pickup activities.
Yep. So, going to place small and Oglethorpe elevated storage tanks. We're trying to wrap that project up and complete it. We're right there at the end, trying to finish up some punch list items. There's Chapman Technical Services about to climb the tank there at the mall and give us a good inspection. There's a typical altitude valve there. They're still working on trying to get the gremlins out of it. Good shot there of Oglethorpe from above. You can see the crane right there, and that's AT&T, I believe, installing the last bit of their facilities on top of the tank there. And this is about the time of year when the ospreys start nesting again. So we're going to see if we have osprey approval of the improvements that we've made, if they move back in. Hopefully we made it not so comfortable for them.
Tell you,
Anyway.
I have had many people ask me when we put an elevated tank up there since this has been painted.
Yeah,
It has been there for decades, but
it has, it has.
it apparently was blending into the background previously.
I think so, yeah.
All right, so there's a shot of them up there. Last project on the list here is Wesley Oak Circle Water Main Improvements, another in-house project. Good section of poly main in there, stacks of it. You can see it.
Taking a 6-inch, the main stem through Wesley Oak Circle is a 6-inch, and there's 2-inch loops. And we're gonna do an 8-inch across the middle with 4-inch loops around. Increase flows and pressures in that area. Contractors mobilized, the directional contractors mobilized. Once they get the pipes installed and tested, then we'll connect all the services in-house.
All right, very good. The typical sheets are included with the detail. If there's any questions, glad to talk about those as well. I did want to, do we want to look at pictures from the big, Clifford, the big red balloon?
Yes.
So exit 29 water production facility. Let's see, all right, Janice, you had it somewhere. I'm sorry, what?
It pulled up twice. Just pick the box.
Okay, there we go. Let's do the video first, and hopefully our video, maybe. Driver's working. Okay. Hey, do we see Clifford? There's Clifford. So what we did is we went to where the elevated tank site, the stake in the ground where it's going to be located. We floated a big red balloon, and then we drove the drone around, flew the drone around, checking visibility. And what we want to do is before we 100% seal the deal on where this tank is going to be located, we wanted to see where.
Now, I will say that the
That's South Mainland?
South mainland.
board attached to that balloon is the height of the tower, but there was quite a lot of wind, so it will be taller than that balloon because it will be
We don't
leaning
own
that
the land
I can
closer
see it
to the
moving around.
interstate?
Sir?
We don't own the land closer to the interstate?
We do, but it gets wet. It drops
Very
off very
wet.
quickly into a ditch. And so here, yeah, here's the balloon where the tank will be. Of course, the tank's a lot larger than the balloon is.
And we couldn't put it up there at the plant site.
What?
We couldn't put it at the plant site.
We determined it would be better for the system operation for it to not be adjacent to the existing well site.
What about at the end on this, on the south end?
That's where the oxidation ditches are.
Yeah.
Yeah,
this
but
is right here.
there's a little, in there, there's an easement through there that comes down.
Yes, there's a pond immediately across that fence line.
And that easement goes to the drainage
It's
easement?
not an easement, we own the property, but there's a pond there.
But there's a drainage easement too, where we're gonna run that force main.
No, we own the property, it's not an easement. We own all that property, it's not an easement.
Yep. And this is pretty much marsh. Marsh pretty much starts down through there.
So we will be able to see the tank.
Yes.
Yes, sir, we proved it. That's the point of
You
doing
did
it.
prove it.
It's cheap,
How
cheap
high
insurance.
How high is it gonna be, when you're driving a car, you'll see it,
In a car, you'll see it. Yes, sir.
from both lanes?
From,
Down and
You'll have a
southbound.
much better shot coming north than south,
yeah,
yeah.
northbound, you'll have a better shot because these trees, the plant is itself is actually pretty hidden with the trees, which is,
Yeah,
you know, we got a good buffer there. But yeah, that's a little bit better view. You can see what the folks northbound are definitely gonna see it. You know, welcome to Glynn County.
where's the balloon?
So here's our tank site right here.
There's the balloon?
Yes, sir, it's right here. You can see how open it is here where the marsh begins.
You gonna do the North Mainland next month?
North Mainland next, that's
pretty
very
visible.
visible.
It's pretty visible.
I'm not
It's
sure we need to
right there
fly, yeah.
adjacent.
I wonder how it's gonna be.
We can do it.
Coming south, I just wonder how you're gonna look at it.
Oh, okay, if you're gonna see it coming
At the-
south.
Where not,
Certainly,
We can
that
fly one.
line crosses.
yeah, we can certainly do that. I think we've got enough helium left.
Jason likes using the drone. Right.
Everybody got a shot at flying, oop, am I supposed to say that? I think we all flew the drone. So that's that. Hopefully that's,
Nice.
gives everybody confidence and showcases exactly where
Yeah.
the new tank is gonna be located. All right, that concludes the project report unless there's any other questions. I'm happy to entertain.
You don't need a shot, it's obvious. It's obvious.
Y'all have any other questions?
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, Todd.
Andrew, we don't need to go through these charts, do we?
Not unless y'all want to. Happy to discuss whatever information. Before next month's Facilities Committee meeting, we will have bids back on Brunswick Villa and the 4002 CIPP.
Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make a motion to adjourn,
I'll second.
All in favor?
and we are.
Meeting's adjourned, thank you.
You do need to stay for finance.
Does Kelly my poor sinuses? He's more in the last
Not the property, because it's a month behind.
month and a half that I haven't. What? It's going away. I think it's getting a little better. My poor